Channel 96 Action News.
With Hannah,
Abraham, Jacob, Doctor.
Put on your yarmulke, here comes Hanukkah. So much Hanukkah to celebrate Hanukkah.
welcome to Channel 96 News. I'm Hannah and this is Hannah's History. Today we're going to be talking about Judaism. Judaism is believed to be found by Abraham, who was chosen by God and promised many generations of family. He was told to migrate to Israel, which is also known as Canaan at the time. In Israel, all Hebrews lived in servitude and were strongly religious. They lived by the Tanakh, which involves part of the Old Testament and also found in Christianity. Later in time, a man called on by God, also known as Moses, came to save the Hebrews in Israel. He led all the Hebrews out of Israel to a new land for freedom and freedom of religious beliefs. This land became known as Canaan and was specifically created and set aside by God for the Hebrews to be able to practice Judaism freely. This practice has thus continued and spread throughout time. Thanks for listening to Hannah's History.
Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of...
Hi, I'm Abraham, and this is the weather segment. Okay, now this is a map of distribution. This is North America, where there are 6 million Jews. In Israel, there are 4.6 million Jews. Okay, back to Israel. This is Israel. Jewishism started somewhere around Jerusalem, and this is the map of origin.
Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this portion of the show, Religion of the Week. Today, we have a very special guest from all the way from Israel, Jacob. Welcome, Jacob.
Thanks for having me today, Doc.
So, Jacob, me and the audience have a few questions we'd like to have answered.
Shoot away.
How do you become a Jew, and do you like being one?
Well, see, everyone can go into being to be Jewish if they want, but I was born in Israel, so I was just kind of grown up into it with my family. And, you know, there's a lot of, like, rules and regulations of being Jewish, but, you know, I enjoy it.
How does persecution and stereotype of being a Jew affect your life?
But, you know, it hurts. People don't really realize how much it does hurt. And I was just out walking down the street, actually, about 2 weeks ago, and these kids they started, like, pelting me with pennies. I mean, I just don't know why the people do it.
Ah!
So, Jacob, what is the religious significance of these yarmulkes that we are wearing today?
Well, you see, it's more of a custom than a real, like, religious, like, rule, you know? See, when you go to a synagogue, usually you wear them to show, like, holy peace and, like, that you care for the religions, but there's no real significance behind them.
Interesting. So, how often do you read out of the Torah? And do you usually read it in English or in Hebrew?
Well, I read it twice a day, every morning, every night, just because that's what I was based on when I lived in Israel, you know? And I read it in Hebrew, because that's how I've always read it, but most Jewish people that live in America, at least, they usually read it in English, and they read it every so often, because there's not a real strict rule behind it, but most people read it night and day.
Our last and final question of the evening, what do you believe happens after death?
See, the Torah says that there is an afterlife, and we'll be reunited with our loved ones. The wicked, on the other hand, will not be, they'll be excluded from this event.
Thank you, Jacob, for coming. Thank you for being a wonderful audience, and thank you for tuning in for this portion of the show, Religion of the Week.
Thank you, I enjoyed it.
Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it.
This is a synagogue of Jewish.
We have the Star of David.
It is very important because of Jewish. And it's a glass window.
The architecture of this building is fantastic.
Fantastic. Jewish.
Important.
Yeah. Get your dreidel on. Get your dreidel on. Get your dreidel on.
We began celebrating.
Get your dreidel on. Get your dreidel on. All of my homies.
eine Maneke, celebrate Hanukkah. And my in the streets, I schwitze for every one of those 8 nights.